Howdy YouTube, Eznix here with a video for you. It just so happens that Calamares released a new version, 3.2.40. This is the first new release from Calamares in months. So I figured I'd take the opportunity to go through how I acquire, build, and include Calamares in my Ezarcher system. So, if you go to calamares.io, you can see you can download right here, and that will download the source code package. That's not exactly what we want to do, though. What I usually do is go to code, and over here on the right side of the screen in the middle is a link to the latest release. So let's click on that. And here we can see the latest release is available. And importantly, we have a SHA-256 sum for the release package, the tarball here. We're going to need this SHA-256 sum to include in our pkgbuild file. And that's how we're going to get Calamares built. So you're probably asking, how did I create a pkgbuild file? And I didn't so much create it, I found one that I thought suited my needs and then edited it to suit my needs. Now how did I do that? Did a simple search on Calamares pkgbuild. And I came down to this link here, this GitHub link, that links to a clean Jaro Calamares GitHub project. So when I click on that, I can see an example of a pkgbuild file for Calamares. Pretty handy. Now, this is an older version, not ancient, but older. It has several sections which we need to pay attention to. The first is the depends. We're going to want to make sure we have all of these depends installed in our build. So that's one thing. You want to include all of the dependencies for Calamares in your packages list of your build. I also include the make dependencies as well. Might not be totally necessary, but for my purposes and my intention with my Ezarcher project is to supply a system where you can rebuild yourself. So I like having all of the dependencies and make dependencies included in my build. Now, some people might think that bloats the system a little bit. I don't really care about that because most of these dependencies are pretty small. They take up very little space, and they're going to be necessary if you want to use my project to build your own. So I leave them in there. One thing I didn't do was include this backup section. And I then proceeded to edit these sections as well. So let's take a look at my pkgbuild file that I use for Calamares. We'll bring it up side to side here. Let's open this and scoot that over. And now we have my pkgbuild file alongside the clean Jaro version. So let's go up again here, and you can see what I've done. I have the dependencies and the make dependencies. I have a SHA-256 sum right here, and I'll show you where I get that from because that will be necessary. You can skip this checksum process by writing in the word skip, but I choose to actually have it verify the download when it builds. Now, in order to get that, if you're over here, here is the SHA-256 checksum that you're going to copy and paste right here. And if you notice, it's the exact same number. So that ensures that during my build, the downloaded tarball of the source code is intact and not corrupted. So that's one thing. Let's go back to the pkgbuild file here. In my prepare section, you can see I kept only 2 lines, the change directory and the sed command to turn on install configuration files. I removed these 3 lines. Well, I removed these 2 lines actually, just keeping these 2. Now, I didn't put in any patches. I don't need any patches. I did use the change version here. I believe that's pretty complete. Yep, that's pretty complete. It's a little different, actually. I must have gotten this from somewhere else. But it's close. I'm sure if you use this, it'll work just fine, too. I don't bother changing branding here, because I don't brand it at all. The build section is very similar to mine. I do prefer to fully qualify the path to the lib directory with the leading slash. I know that's not done in many, but I usually like doing that. Also, you can see the dskip modules. My list is a little longer. I choose to leave out things like net install and let's see, what else do I leave out? Notes, QML, OEMD, a few other things, Plasma LNF, things that aren't really necessary. And you can play around with that. If you go with this stock statement, you'll probably be fine as well. But I've added a few more things. Now, like the locale queue, the Plasma LNF, the welcome queue, anything that ends with a queue is really a module only necessary in Debian implementations of Calamares. So you know you can leave out almost anything with ending with a queue, module-wise. This just helps keep the compiled package smaller. Not that it's huge to begin with. It drops it from about 5 megabytes to 4 megabytes. So, my packages section is quite a bit shorter. You can see the only thing I do is basically this. I don't think I do anything else. Yep. I just do those 3 lines basically, or the first 2 and then this one, it looks like. Yeah. And there you have it. That's my pkgbuild file for Calamares. Make sure to put the version number at the version number that I want to build. This is the first release of this build, so that number is going to be 1. Save it, and when you save it, you can come to the directory where you have your pkgbuild file and open a terminal and run mkinitcpio-openswap and it will build the package. Voila! You have Calamares built. And you can see after you build it, you have a package suitable for inclusion in a repository. You also have a pkg folder, and in here you want to look in this folder, because in this folder, in Calamares USR share Calamares, you have your modules and your branding that you can customize and the settings.conf file. Now, the modules that are built with my particular pkgbuild file are these 29 different modules. Now, most of these are fine with whatever the defaults in those configs are. My own settings I have pulled out, and my modules that I needed to actually modify are only 11 out of those 29, so about a third. Display Manager, you know what, it's opening in this. We're not going to deal with that right now. Let's minimize, and let's go back here, and we'll open this in a different text editor. There we go. The only changes I made to displaymanager.conf are what I did was I removed anything except SDDM and LightDM. Those are the only two display managers that I use in any of my Ezarcher ISOs. So I figured, why bother listing all of them? Certainly you don't need to do that, but I chose to. The mkinitcpio.conf, you do need to specify the kernel that you are including in your build that you want Calamares to build the initramfs for. Now, if you were using the Zen kernel, this would read Linux-Zen. If you're using the LTS kernel, this would read Linux-LTS. I'm just going with the stock standard Arch Linux kernel. So that's all I need. When you open up the default file, the initcpio.conf file, it lists Linux 312. I don't know why. You do have to remove that number after the word Linux, though. My locale file .conf, what I've done here towards the bottom, I set the GeoIP to JSON, set, let's see, that's about it. What else did I do up here? Anything? Nope, don't think I changed anything else. The packages.conf file, made sure to specify Pacman since this is an Arch environment we're using Calamares in. And at the bottom, I instruct Calamares to remove itself and ckbcomp during the installation of your system. All of the other dependencies for Calamares are left intact should you decide to use my ISO to build your own Ezarcher based system or just compile Calamares. The partition.conf file, what did I change here? I changed the EFI system partition to 600 megabytes. I did this because in my reading, the FAT32 file system that's used for the EFI system partition, if you go under 550, 530 megabytes, it may be set up as FAT16. I'm not sure about that, but I chose 600 as a way to preserve or ensure that FAT32 is actually used, the 32-bit version of FAT. What else did I do here? I don't think I changed anything else. This is all default. Let's see, what else did I do? Remove user. All I did was specify the live user to remove. We'll come back to the shell processes. Unpack FS. Now here is where you tell Calamares where the file system is that you want to unpack to your target drive, and where to put it, and what type of file it is. Squash FS. It lives on the ISO in this directory, and we want to put it in the root of the file system. We also want to transfer the actual initramfs file to its proper place in boot VM linux-linux. And that's just a simple file. So those two source statements transfer the entire system. Well, tell Calamares to transfer the entire system. Users.conf creates the user I want and puts it in the groups that I want the user to be in. And let's see, it specifies a pseudo group, wheel. Set root password true. Do not reuse password true. Those are checkboxes you can check during the installation. I just have defaults set, so you have to check them. But this is where you would go and make those changes. Allow weak passwords, default, true. The user shell that I want, bin bash. Set hostname file. I haven't changed that. Write host file, true. Okay. Most of this I haven't touched, but you can see what I have. The welcome.conf file. I turn off all of the links in the welcome screen of Calamares. Required storage, 5.5 gigs. Required RAM, 1 gig. And then it checks for storage, RAM, power, internet, root, screen. So it does all those checks. Now, shell process easy finish and shell process mv easy mkinit.conf. These are two instances, shell process instances I use in Calamares during the installation. Now the mv easy mkinit, what this does is it moves my easy mkinit file and moves it to rename it linux.preset. Now this is used once the system is installed. You want a standard linux.preset file in your mkinitcpio.d directory, so when the hooks run during software upgrades, the kernel, the initramfs, is built both the standard and the fallback. The Ezarcher ISO mkinitcpio does not do a fallback. So that's why I use one line to make sure that in the installed system the initramfs is generated correctly, completely. My shell process easy finish does three things. It removes the pacman.dgnupg.mount service, systemd service. It removes the automated script and the zlogin from the root user's home folder. And that's all that does. So those are the only 11 modules that I need my own settings for. Now, in the settings.conf file, any instances that you want to customize, you have to list here. So you can see I list 2 instances, mv easy mkinit and easy finish. You need to list those in the order you want them executed in the Calamares installation. You don't need to show them, you just need to execute them. So after the display manager is run, I run the move easy mkinit shell process, and then initcpio runs. So the result is that the proper linux.preset file is in place before Calamares creates the initramfs. And then my easy finish process runs right before Calamares unmounts the system. So we're all done. The conf also here specifies the branding folder. So that's my own branding folder. The stock, well, this is my own branding folder here. So in here I have my logo, my slide, my wallpaper, my branding description. So component name, Ezarcher, has to match. Let's see, I don't change any of this, really. I don't think so. Put in my product name, put in my own URLs, even though I don't show them. Specify my logo, my wallpaper, my languages, and my show.qml file. The show.qml file is my slideshow during Calamares. So here I specify the background slide, I only have one, and then the text I want displayed. Excuse me. So that is the purpose of the show.qml file. We can start closing these down here. I've already talked about the dependencies for Calamares. I haven't talked about building a local repo. Now, I choose not to have an online repo. I have my Calamares and the 2 packages that Calamares needs in a local repo on the ISO. So this is the line needed to create a local repo. Repo add, the name of the repo, and the packages to include in the repository. So if we go over to my build folder, I chose to put it in the op directory, easy repo, and here you have my packages, the 4 database files created by the repo add command, as well as a copy of this file, just for reference purposes. So that gets included in my build. The way this gets included in the build is the pacman.conf used during the build lists my repository and the file location of that repository. Put it all the way at the bottom. It doesn't conflict with anything else, but that is my pacman.conf. In my packages list, all the way at the bottom, I list Calamares, ckbcomp, and mkinitcpio-openswap. So the packages are listed. Pacman.conf has the local repository listed, and when the system is built, all of the Calamares and its dependencies are installed. This section installs all of the Calamares dependencies. So you want to have every one of these listed, and that's pretty much this list right here. Hopefully that's clear enough. And there you have it. That's how Calamares gets included in the build. We can actually start closing this down. Now, little programs like ckbcomp and OpenSwap, let's go into how those are acquired and built. If we go back to the internet and we go to the AUR, we can search for things like ckbcomp, and you can see we have version 1.202-1, but it's been flagged out of date. We have a binary of 1.203-1. So let's go to the first one. So I don't want a binary, I want the actual pkgbuild file and build it myself. We can view the pkgbuild file, and we can see this is for version 1.202. We know there's a 1.203. Let's figure out how to find out what the actual most recent version is. So the home of the project is right here. So let's go ahead and copy and just go to this address. And here we can see it's console setup. They look like they've just released 6 days ago 1.204. Even newer than what's in the AUR. Interesting. Let's go to the actual address where package build is going to download the tar package from. So let's copy that part of the address and go there. So here is the location of where console setup lives. So here we can download the deb package, which we don't need for Arch. We can download the tar package with the source code, but more importantly, we're going to download this description DSC file. In this DSC file, let's go to our download folder here. I'll show you what I mean. I've already downloaded the console setup description file here. If we open that up, we can see there's some checksums here. There's a SHA-1 and a SHA-256. Very important because you're going to want to copy this SHA-256 sum file, value. I want to copy that and put it, where are we going to put it? We're going to put it in the pkgbuild file of ckbcomp. We're going to put it right here. Now, I think that's already the one that's there. Let's see. Yeah, no change. I've already done that bit. We're going to change the package version number to 1.204. We now have the right SHA-256 sum to verify the download. And when we make package in this folder, it will build our ckbcomp 1.204-1 package. And that's what we're going to use in our repo. OpenSwap is a little easier. I don't need to save it because I didn't really change it. No, let's go back to the web. And let's go back to the AUR. And let's look for mkinitcpio-openswap. That's what it is. So here we have OpenSwap. Now this is actually very easy. Hasn't changed in years. We're going to download the snapshot. Okay, I've already done this. So when we go to our download folder, you can see I've downloaded the mkinitcpio-openswap. I've extracted it, and here you have everything you need. So if you open a terminal, makepkg, done, built. Simple. Exit, and now we have our package ready to include in our repository. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? So hopefully that deals with all of Calamares, putting it in the build, my build system, or you can do it, use it yourself. Also includes how to do ckbcomp, how to do OpenSwap, how to deal with the settings. I think we've covered it all. Wow. Not bad. I don't know how long this video has gone on. Let's take a look. 32 minutes. Let's stop. Take care. Have fun. Hope this helps. See you in another video, or you'll see me. Bye-bye.